brief trip into Boston ends tonight. The Marlins, hearts broken last night, big comeback for the Red Sox, and Fenway will be filled again tonight, as it is every night, and with good reason. Great ballpark, and all of a sudden a hot team, these Red Sox. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton for the Marlins. A heartbreaker last night.
Yeah, it really was. When you have a lead, you take it late in the game, you hope to win those games. It didn't happen last night.
Silver lining for the Fish right now. Christian Yelich is looking like Christian Yelich of the second half last year. Talented left-handed bat. You knew he'd come around, and he's coming around with a fury.
You know, I think Fenway Park and Christian Yelich, that's a real good fit, and it certainly was last night for the 23-year-old. RBI single, first AB, that extended his hitting streak. How about a great catch in an unfamiliar ballpark, just a tremendous play. He would get 2 more base hits. So right now, Christian Yelich with a 9-game hitting streak, 16 for 30 during the streak. So it's not a light touch during that hitting streak.
Turning point in last night's ball game, maybe the best at bat we've seen all year, and a young Xander Bogaerts going up against Carter Capps. And it finished with something you don't often see, a 3-run single.
Don't see that too often. We talked about the 23-year-old Christian Yelich. How about Xander Bogaerts, 22 years old? He is working right now on a 6-game hitting streak. His big base hit last night. How about Bogaerts this year, hitting .388 with runners in scoring position? He's played a solid shortstop as well. He's made just 5 errors this year.
Our pitching tonight, well, we've got a special guest who will talk about that when we return to Fenway. Carl Pavano down on the field talks about tonight's matchup and the state of the pitching for the Fish right now. It's the start here. Kohler coming off a real solid June. What have you seen from Kohler in his last 5-6 starts that you didn't see earlier in the year.
Yeah, he just looks like he's settling in. He's always been aggressive. He's always been. It's that third and fourth time through the lineup. He's really navigating his way, and he's minimizing damage, and that's half the battle. He's locating his pitches well. He's pitching off his fastball, and I think his tempo's been really good, which keeps the guys behind him in the game. Other
side, Rick Porcello has not had a good start to his Boston Red Sox career. You know Porcello, you've seen him before as a Detroit Tiger. What do you see this year out of Porcello?
A lot of times for him, he doesn't walk many guys, but he gives up a lot of contact. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys. And if his sinker's not working, he's not locating those pitches, he's got to come in the zone. And I think he's young, too, 26. I mean, he's the youngest guy in the modern-day era to have double-digit wins in the first 6 years before the age of 26. So experience-wise, he's got it, but he's still young. I think the more he gets repetition, the more he gets out there. And Boston's a little different stadium to pitch in than Detroit Tigers, don't forget. I mean, that's a lot bigger stadium than he has here. He could be adjusting to that a little bit.
Well, and that goes along, Pavy, with you're talking about him giving up a lot of contact. He's given up 16 home runs this year. Last year, in over 200 innings, he gave up 18. So he's not getting the ball down. He's giving up the long ball. So Porcello's gotten hurt. Rich, you had a good talk with Chuck Hernandez about the confidence that Tom Kohler has been able to put together his last 3 starts.
Yeah, and Pavy, I want you to expand on this. Chuck said that it just feels like the more success Kohler has, the more his confidence grows. That has helped his fastball command, and he's always been an aggressive bulldog-type guy.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time to really get to know this craft, and he's still a younger guy, young in his starting career. With last year, the first time he got his 30 starts. But, yeah, you're reinventing yourself. You're constantly trying to change things up and stay with your strengths. And I think he's learning his strengths the more that he gets out there and the more the team needs him. He loves it when this team needs him. When this team needs a win, he wants to be the guy. And that's the type of guy you want on the mound every 5th day.
And, that's a great point. He had the start after Giancarlo Stanton went down, and he was marvelous in that ballgame. We saw the at-bat from up close. You saw it from afar last night. Carter Capps against Xander Bogaerts. Take us through the at-bat. What did you see in that?
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to JT, and they had Ortiz on deck. They go 3-0. He hasn't thrown a slider yet. You got bases loaded. You got a guy that, not that he doesn't locate a slider, but it could end up in the dirt as an out pitch and could get by JT. And JT went out there, and I think they were fumbling around of and they just decided to go with the strength. The guy throws 100 miles an hour. You really can't go wrong, but you also got a guy that's having an all-star caliber year that likes to hit the fastball, and he saw 6 or 7 of them, 8 of them, and he got the last one. So, I mean, those are tough decisions, but, they'll iron that stuff out. I like how Capps mentioned how he's going to go with his strengths, and he's going to get beat by his strengths, and it's been working for him, so he's stuck with that philosophy. I don't have a problem with that.
All right, Pavy, thanks for the update. We'll be visiting with you all night long as the Marlins and the Red Sox get ready to go. Tom Kohler takes aim at Boston. D. Gordon, a bunt down the first baseline picked up by David Ortiz. He steps on the bag at first, and this ball game is underway. A little early underway, but underway nonetheless. Rick Porcello getting the start, and here's that 1-0 pitch.
Now you have Big Papi out there at first base. He's only played there and started 4 games this year at first, so D. Gordon trying to take advantage of that, just got a little too hard.
Christian Yelich now. Denny Echeverria will follow. Porcello, start number 17, and you can see the first 16 haven't gone that well. His ERA is north of 6. Yelich, last night 3 hits, a double, drove in 2, and a 9-game hit streak. And of course, Tommy, not only are the hits coming, but the on-base percentage is unbelievable in those 9 games. Well over 500.
Well, 16 hits in the 9 games, 16 for 30.
And a strike to Yelich. Count 3-1. Porcello is only 26. He's a New Jersey guy. West Orange, New Jersey, his hometown. Yelich flips it to left. Alejandro De Aza is out there tonight, and he makes the catch. Miami's lineup is brought to you by JM Lexus. You've seen Gordon, you've seen Yelich, and Denny Echeverria is at short. Justin Bohr is at first base. Michael Morse, the designated hitter. Derek Dietrich gets a start, and Dietrich slotted 6. JT Realmuto hit 7. Cole Gillespie, 2 hits last night in center. And Ichiro, struggling Ichiro, is in right, and he hits 9th. And here is Echeverria. First pitch swing, it's out of play. Echeverria, 1 hit last night. He's averaged just a tick or 2 under 290. And he rolls it up the middle. That's Brock Holt. And he makes the play in time. A 1-2-3 start for Porcello. Tom Cola gets the ball next.
Well,
Boston hot. They've won 8 of their last 11, 7 of 9. JM Lexus brings you the starting lineup. Mookie Betts in center. Brock Holt, the all-star, at second. Xander Bogaerts in that final vote. He may be an all-star. David Ortiz at first, a rare appearance. Hanley Ramirez, the DH. Pablo Sandoval, Shane Victorino. Diaz is out in left, and Ryan Hannigan is behind the plate again and hitting ninth. Tom Kohler, his ERA down to 3.52. You see the last 3 starts, all very good. His first pitch is popped foul and out of play by Mookie Betts.
Yeah, for Tom Kohler, Rich, his last 3 starts an ERA of 1.80, and he has had 3 one-run games. 2-1 win against the Yankees, 3-2 against the Dodgers, and a terrific game at Wrigley Field, 2-1 win there.
You see the numbers. Kohler at home and road, always a big split difference, but he's starting to narrow that gap. He had 2 marvelous road starts in his last 3 road starts in tough environments. A 2-1 win at Wrigley against the Cubs and a 6-2 win in Denver against the Rockies.
Amazingly enough, he's always pitched well. He's had a couple of real good games at Coors Field.
A look at Betts last night, an 0 for 4 night. Betts part of a young core that's atop this Red Sox lineup. Betts is 22. Fastball in. Then you got Brock Holt. He's a little older at 27. And then you go back down to 22 with Xander Bogaerts. There's a look at Holt on deck. 3-2 coming from Kohler. And it's hit deep to left. It's curling. And it's gone. No, wait a minute. It's foul. It was so high, it looked like it went over the foul pole. The fans out in the monster reacted home run. And even Betts is kind of a bit startled right now.
Well, the third base umpire is Mike Everett. He has a bird's eye view, best view around. And it took him a while. He wanted to make sure he saw it at the very last moment. And here's our look. And foul it was.
Just got foul. The Red Sox were on the phone to their replay room. That one's even more foul. Up into the seats and bouncing back down onto the playing field. Joe Betts is yanked 2 out. Both have been foul, and we'll see how Kohler responds with another 3-2 pitch coming. You can see 9 home runs this year out of their leadoff hitter.
Hey, you wonder if he's going to go with the fastball here. He's got him sped up on those fastballs in that he's turned on. I wonder if he's going to go to a secondary pitch.
He stayed fastball, but he got it in a better location. And it's Gillespie who's in, and he makes the catch. Gillespie finds himself in center. Here's Tommy Hutton with the rest of the defense.
Oh, thank you, Rich. Appreciate it. We know that Gillespie is in center field. There's the rest of the defense, brought to you by BMW. Yelich moves over to the left. Ichiro's in the ball game. He's in right. Echeverria, D. Gordon up the middle. They've been spectacular all year. Derek Dietrich, Justin Bohr at the corners. Real Muto behind the plate. Michael Morse will be the DH tonight.
Brock Holt takes outside. For those of you that have just joined us and are thinking to yourself, boy, Tommy sounded a lot like Carl Pavano there for a second. Carl Pavano is with us. He's down field level right near the Miami dugout. And so Pavy will be joining us, our third analyst.
Nice view down here.
And if Pavy needs help, he can just turn to his right, and there's Jessica.
Yep. I got plenty of artillery down here. Plenty of information.
Pavy, spring training. I know we were talking rotation, and Tom Kohler was a guy that you went to bat for. And he certainly has pitched quite well this year. There's a roller into right by the diving Gordon. And it's picked up by Ichiro. What did you see in spring training?
Yeah, you saw a guy that was determined. I think some guys are a lot better when their back's against the wall a little bit and they get that chip on their shoulders. And he's a guy that he could have been odd man out if he didn't pitch well. And I've been in those situations a number of times, and you got to like that he responds to that situation. Like we talked on earlier, when they need this guy, he's there for him. And you like that competitive nature in any player, especially one of your pitchers.
Well, here's Xander Bogaerts Bogart's epic at bat last night about Carter Capps was all the rage here in Boston on the sports talk shows, in the papers. And it should be. It was quite an at bat, and an odd at bat in that Capps fell behind 3-0, and then the fun started.
I don't know if the talk shows here in Boston were talking more about the game-winning base hit or Carter Capps' delivery.
That's true. Breaking ball misses outside. It's like everywhere the Marlins go, after they see Carter Capps pitch and pitch really well, then everyone throws their arms up and says illegal.
Yeah, it's the only way you're going to bring that guy down. They're hoping maybe if he changes his delivery, he won't be as dominant, but he's got great stuff.
Here's the pitch to Bogarts. Fouls it back. The ironic thing is, he became dominant when he did change his delivery, when the Marlins sent him down to the minor leagues to calm down that leap and make sure he had some toe drag. From that point on, he has been outstanding. Bogarts, the 22-year-old out of Aruba. One of many in that long line of great infielders that have come from that area. Ball in the dirt, and Holt read it perfectly. He was off and running once he saw it hit dirt, and he arrives at second base.
I tell you what, Brock Holt's one of those players that the more you see, he just grows on you. And certainly Red Sox fans love him because of his versatility. But you watch him play, got a good jump there once he saw that ball in the dirt.
Yeah, this inning, just that stealing that bag changes the dynamic of this inning, you know, especially as a pitcher. Man on second, Ortiz on deck. You got a guy here that can swing the bat. I mean, just stealing that bag really changes this inning.
Holt's got a good lead at second. And Kohler with a sharp breaking ball gets Bogarts. A nice strikeout for Kohler. There's 2 outs. And here is Ortiz.
Boy, you establish that fastball, then you can go with that slider. And we've seen Tom Kohler do all of that over the last 3 starts. Got him to chase that slider off the plate. Then he can also come with that nice curveball as well.
It's not often an announcer gets to say, here's first baseman David Ortiz much anymore. But he's at first base. Ortiz 0 for 2 with a couple walks last night. Big Papi takes out. It's a Red Sox lineup that's kind of divided with the new blood and the old guard. And the dividing point is Ortiz in the 4 spot. You've got 2 Major League veterans, Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval. That one smoked hard. Big Papi playing in his 900th Fenway game.
Well, one of the reasons he's getting an opportunity to be at first base, Mike Napoli's really struggled. Average is below 200. And if you look down the road, when the Red Sox come to Miami, we could see Big Papi playing a little defense there too.
You might not see Mike Napoli at that point.
Yeah, that's a talk around town.
Last year of his contract. Kohler misses away. But Ortiz certainly has had an incredible run in Boston, and not a lot of people thought that would happen. Certainly the people in Seattle or Minnesota, the 2 teams that he played for before he arrived here in Boston.
When I spent my time in Minnesota, they had nothing but great things to say about him. He had an unfortunate accident with his ankle, and then Minnesota didn't, he didn't get his power back, and they let him go, and he came here and just turned it up a whole new level. There was one more lefty that was pretty successful here, Mo Vaughn, but he's really eclipsed his career.
It was an ankle injury that kind of derailed Vaughn's career as well.
Yeah, and that was in Anaheim, I believe.
It was. Swing and a miss. Kohler, nicely done. Strikes out Bogarts and Ortiz. This game is underway and scoreless.
Newly engaged. They are a newly engaged couple. That is Chase. He's a huge Marlins fan. Just proposed to his girlfriend, now fiance, yesterday. Had a chance to check out the ring. Very impressive. So congratulations to Chase and his fiance. Huge Marlin fans and newly engaged. How about that, Rich?
He must have gone to Jared, right?
Well played.
All right, breaking ball, a swing and a miss. Justin Bour, the
Not
hitter.
sure he was wearing that headgear when he proposed.
I'm not sure she would say yes with him wearing that hat. And Justin Bour, Michael Morse, Derek Dietrich against Rick Porcello. Bour 0 for 4 last night, and he hits a chopper over the middle, and it's going to find center field for a hit. Leadoff single for Justin Bour. Boston's defense tonight.
All right, BMW has that defense. Alejandro De Aza in left. We saw Hanley out there last night. He's DHing tonight. Mookie Betts, Shane Victorino in the outfield. Pablo Sandoval, Xander Bogart, Brock Holt, and Big Papi David Ortiz. Ryan Hannigan, veteran catcher, is behind the plate.
And we saw D. Gordon in his first at bat bunting at Big Papi. He's holding Bour on right now. And here is Michael Morse, and his bat busted. Porcello has it, throws it. Holt stays on the bag long enough to get the out on the lead runner. But that was almost a disaster for the Red Sox.
In a way, it's a disaster for the Red Sox because they didn't get 2 outs. This is a sure double play. But the throw from Porcello, nicely done by Holt. He keeps his balance to receive the throw and stay on the bag, but had no opportunity to turn 2.
And so Morse is at first. Morse the DH in this ball game. Here is Derek Dietrich now.
I like this matchup tonight. Dietrich, good low ball hitter. If Porcello pitches the way he normally does, keeps the ball down.
That one down and in. 1-0. Another big crowd here in Boston tonight. There was a chance of rain tonight. So far it stayed away. Look out in Miami's dugout. The dugouts here are a long ways away from home plate.
A little different than at Wrigley.
Yes, the Wrigley's are closer to the plate. Here, if you throw a ball away at short to first, the ball ends up, instead of a camera well, it'll end up either in the dugout or over the dugout. Porcello misses in. There's concern around Boston about Rick Porcello for 2 reasons. One, his ERA is north of 6. 2, when they acquired him from Detroit, Yoenis Cespedes and 2 others went Detroit's way. The Red Sox signed him to a 4-year extension for $84 million, which kicks in next year. Dietrich lines it into center field. That's a base hit. And Miami has set up runners first and second with 1 down. All-Star game is coming up, and as you know, extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball. But on one night, they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star game. Coverage begins 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. That's on Tuesday, 14th of July on Fox.
Think about Porcello in his career. And boy, he got started when he was 20 years old. He won 14 games as a 20-year-old. But he's been healthy. He's only had a couple of times where he's missed some turns in the rotation. None of those times were related to arm injuries. He had a cut on his finger one time, and he had tonsillitis 1 year. So other than that, he's been able to stay relatively healthy.
JT Realmuto 1 for 4 with a double last night. Chopper to third. Sandoval to Holt. The relay is just in time, and the Red Sox get their double play, and Miami's second is over. went into the belly of the beast.
How cool is this? I am inside of the scoreboard at Fenway Park. This is one of the most famous features. This scoreboard is one of only 2 that are still manually operated. Here in Wrigley are the only 2 scoreboards that are still run by hand. There's 127 slots on the scoreboard, and it takes 3 scorers to operate this. And how about this? Take a look at these numbers. These weigh almost 2 pounds each. And hey, if you get a chance to come to Boston, take the tour of Fenway. You're going to be able to come inside the scoreboard, and the one thing that you have to do, you have to sign the wall. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I am going to leave my mark here at Fenway.
Look at that. I don't see Tommy Hutton's name in there.
That was good stuff. Jess was doing curls with those numbers, too.
Now, that's modern day. Look at that. That's Harry Coyle, I think, placed that camera there. That's left over from the 1975 World Series. That was one of the great moments in sports television. Harry Coyle, then the director for NBC, had a camera in the wall and told his cameraman, I want you to stay on Fisk. And they captured that great moment with Carlton Fisk waving the home run fair. Hanley Ramirez liner to center. Wow. Gillespie there. That was an absolute rocket from Hanley. The exit speed on that, I would expect, is up around 110.
Well, it was a rough night for Hanley last night, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. This ball is one of the hardest outs you're going to see. Not an easy play. And when Cole Gillespie first arrived, we talked about his ability to play all 3 outfield spots, and that's a difficult play, and he made it look easy, and Hanley hit that ball as hard as you're going to see.
It looked hard from up here. Pavy, how did it look down there?
Yeah, it was hit pretty hard. That 2-0 fastball, the fastball that misses down the middle, they usually get hit pretty hard. He got lucky there, but he made a great play.
We had it at 112 miles an hour off the bat. And the pitch bounces up there to Pablo Sandoval. Sandoval last night an 0 for 4. Tom Kohler struck out Bogarts and Ortiz with Brock Holt in scoring position to end the first.
That was the tough part, Rich, about last night. Losing that game when you hold Ortiz, Ramirez, and Sandoval, the meat of their order, they were 0 for 10 with 5 strikeouts.
Well, and as well, and Pavy, you watched last night's game, to have everything set up the way it was set up.
Yeah, I mean, it just slipped through their hands. There's no doubt about it. But more times than none, they're going to close that game out. Just one of those instances where they had a really good at bat at the right time by the opposing team.
Sandoval fouls it back. Pablo Sandoval is such an intriguing, unique player. Actually a left-handed thrower as a kid, and decided he wanted to catch. So then he started to throw right-handed to center. Gillespie has time to run under this one, and he makes the catch. And so there are 2 outs. And here comes Shane Victorino. It's an interesting mix, isn't it, Pavy, of guys like Victorino, Ortiz, Hanley, Sandoval, and then a really good young core. Betts, Holt, Bogarts.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. This lineup has some growth over the years with these young guys, and I'm sure these veterans are teaching them all the tricks, because you got some real professional hitters in this lineup that have been around a long time. It's a luxury to have, especially when you have young guys that are coming up with, lack a little of experience and a little wet behind the ears. It's good to have these older guys helping them out. I'm sure they are.
Well, the one thing that'll be interesting to see how the Red Sox handle this, Ortiz is 39, but you have the other 2 guys, Hanley Ramirez and Sandoval, with big contracts that should keep them here. So you wonder which direction they'll go with Big Papi to blend in with those young players we've seen.
And don't forget, injured catcher Blake Swihart is just 23. I think it's impressive that the Red Sox have won 7 of 9, 8 of 11, and they've done it without Dustin Pedroia, who's been on the disabled list. that's a credit to John Farrell and this ball club that had an awful year last year. Victorino watches it outside.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about Ramirez being better at DH this year, and they're trying to, you know, edge to that Ortiz. Maybe he's going to take Ortiz spot. I don't think he's going to get any bats at DH no matter how good he does. You can't take that guy to that position.
Liner to second. D. Gordon makes the catch. A 1-2-3 inning for Tom Poland. Scoreless here at Fenway. Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit us at FloridaCoastEQ.com and by AutoNation. Visit us online, AutoNation.com. Another really nice night here in Boston. The Fens, scoreless, Marlins and the Red Sox. And the Fish go to work. Here in the top of the third, Rick Porcello, Cole Gillespie, Ichiro, and D. Gordon.
Boy, the opportunity that Cole Gillespie has got. He's come through. Made some nice plays in the outfield. Had a couple of base hits, a double, an RBI. Scored 2 runs last night.
When he started, he's hitting .375, 6 for 16, 4 doubles. Oh, 2 pitch from Porcello is out. Miami got 2 hits in the second. But Rick Porcello got a double play ball off the bat of JT Realmuto. Gillespie out of the Northwest. And a national champion for the Oregon State Beavers.
As Carl Pavano pointed out earlier, Porcello not a high strikeout guy. He's a pitch to contact guy. Only 22 walks, so he's not going to walk too many.
I mean, as you can see here, he's thrown all, he's probably 90% fastballs right now, and the only breaking pitches he's thrown are early in the count. And he's a guy that 2-1, 2-0, they're very likely you're going to get a fastball that he's going to try to keep on the ground. And I think that's part of the problem this year. And you can't try to pull this guy. You stay up the middle like Bohr, and you're going to get yourself some hits.
2-2. Gillespie, little tapper to short. It hops up for Bogarts, and he gets the outs. You can get the very latest news, views, and takes on the Marlins on your Facebook news feed. All you have to do is log on and like Sun Sports, Fox Sports, Florida. Hey, Pavi, as Ichiro stands in, and it's been a long dry spell for Ichiro. For Porcello, changing cities, new contract, is that, you know?
I think it all comes into play. And the stadium, I think, is for me, a glaring thing. I mean, you know, in Detroit, it's fair all the way around. Not that this isn't a fair stadium, but, you know, that wall over there, being a sinker ball pitcher and you like working away, you got to make sure that ball's down, because that's a short porch if he's leaving balls up. You know, that could be part of the problem too as well. You know, they're going to load the lineups with most teams with left-handed hitters, and you know, if his stuff's not on, he's going to give up some hits.
Ichiro right now 0 for his last 28. It's the longest 0 for in his career.
I think during this time, Rich, we've seen Ichiro do a couple of things. We've seen him take more strikes than we saw early in the year, and we've seen him swing and miss more than we saw him early in the year. And as I mentioned the other night, he's always behind the count. When you're slumping, that's usually the case.
Hannigan wants it out. Porcello hits the glove, but it's a ball. It's 2-2.
But a little track record for Ichiro against Porcello. 12 for 31, 387 average.
And Ichiro likes that ball away from him that he could get to. He doesn't mind taking those singles to left.
Could take one over to you.
Yeah, I told you guys. I'll be the first broadcaster that gets knocked out with a line drive today.
Come on, Pavi, didn't you bring your glove?
Of course I did. I got a microphone that I could maybe ricochet with it. Jessica doesn't seem to mind.
2-2. Oh, that's a strike. And right now, Ichiro, and I've never seen this. Ichiro is just lost at the plate.
Yeah, and again, there's the example: swing and miss, two called strikes, and there it is on Fox Tracks. It's a good pitch. It's a perfect pitch, but in the zone, and you know, it had a little movement, came back, and you wonder if Ichiro thinks that's a strike or if he thought it was off the plate.
Now here is D. Gordon. Isn't that part of a slump? You lose the ability to track pitches. You lose the strike zone.
You just don't see the ball. Yeah.
That's why oftentimes when we see a hitter come out of a slump, the first thing that occurs is he starts to walk a little bit more. Gordon out trying to bunt back in the first. Porcello gets a strike. D. Gordon right now on an 0 for 12. It speaks to the type of year he's having, that's his longest drought of the season.
Well, it's been a rough month of July for D. Just 3 for 25 now in this month.
Gordon cracks one into center field.
We just had to talk about it.
That's right. Into center with a base hit, and that brings Christian Yelich up.
Yeah, he stays up the middle well when he does that. And when he was on fire, we used to talk about how we'd see maybe 3 hits a night, and one would be to left, one to center, and one to right. So good to see that stroke there.
And certainly a candidate to run with 2 outs.
You know, the thing with Porcello in this situation, he throws a lot of fastballs. So, you know, picking the right count and getting the right jump is really important on a guy like this, because he's not going to go to the secondary pitches too often. And, you know, it's a little easier for the catcher to handle a fastball throwing it down the second than the secondary pitches. So he's got to make sure if he goes, he's got a good jump.
Yelich takes a breaking ball for a strike. Ryan Hannigan has thrown out 22% base runners, base stealers this year.
Very capable veteran backup type, but here Hannigan's caught both games in this series.
Gordon runs. Yelich swings, and in there is Gordon. Safe with a head first slide.
Great jump.
His 30th bag of the season. But the count's 0-2 on Yelich.
It was a fastball. D. Gordon just outran it. Good jump. Stays on the bag. And Bogaerts let the ball kind of slip away a little bit.
Hannigan and Porcello work really well together. There was a stat that's shown that he's thrown really good to him, and you could see Hannigan working behind there, making sure he's elevating the ball and he's moving the ball around and giving him a good target. And sometimes that's really important for pitchers. Not that all catchers don't do that, but Hannigan, you could see him working for this guy back there.
Pitches into Yelich.
Saw those numbers. Billy Hamilton on top of the league in stolen bases. The Marlins will see Hamilton along with the Reds. 4-game series starting tomorrow night. Marlin fans will also see Jose Fernandez tomorrow night.
The Nationals can't beat the Reds, can they? Reds took them down last night. Joey Votto with a big night.
Now Johnny Cueto with a big night too.
That's Cueto. He looked like he was having so much fun last night pitching that ball game in Washington. They knocked Max Scherzer around.
Well, the Nationals took care of the Reds tonight. Game was postponed.
That'll teach him.
So I guess Cincinnati will get to town before us.
Count 2-2 to Yelich. Gordon's at second. Breaking ball, a little tapper up the line, and it's just wide of the bag. Big Papi wasn't in a real hurry to get up to get that ball, and that may have benefited Yelich. That's a dangerous spot to try to field the ball from behind the bag.
Well, this is start number 5 at first base this year. He started 5 games last year at first base, so hey, Big Papi knew.
That's right. He's got it under control. Yelich line to left. The hottest hitter in a Marlin uniform. D. Gordon a single, stolen base. Miami has knocked out 3 hits against Porcello, but that's it.
He's been pretty effective keeping these guys off that sinker away because he's been spotting that fastball in like he did on Ichiro. He made a couple good pitches on Gordon that Gordon made a good swing at on inside the plate. That's really important in this field because if guys are hanging over the dish, we've talked about this short porch and left, they're going to get that. So you got to keep them honest inside, but you got to show them that you can throw strikes inside. And he's doing a pretty good job at that right now.
You can see Hannigan dart in there at the last minute.
Yeah, he tried to go back in. And we've talked about the hits he gives up. Every year he's been in the big leagues, he has allowed more hits than innings pitched. But because he keeps the walks down, things kind of even out.
That's most of the time that's the equalizer. If you're a high walk guy and a high contact guy, you're just always pitching out of problems and they're stressful innings.
How about that with Yelich? Terrific at bat. He was behind in the count 0-2, and he ends up working a walk.
Carl, can this happen? To me, it looked like Porcello, with 2 outs, was worried too much about D. Gordon once he got to second base, and all of a sudden he didn't make good pitches.
Yeah, and he had to do the inside move. Sometimes there's no doubt that throws off the rhythm of the pitcher, and probably going through his head is, well, I'm 2-0. Let me get to the point where, there's a base open. Let me pitch around this guy. Then he's back in the count. The rhythm of this whole bat was really off for him, and he threw 2 curveballs behind the count that we haven't seen yet, and it's not been a pitch that he's been able to locate, so it got him in trouble.
Opportunity for Adeiny Echeverria. And he comes with 2 outs. Terrific speed out there. Gordon at second. Yelich, the trail runner, at first.
Boy, 85 hits on the year for Adeiny Echeverria, and amongst major league shortstops, that's 4th. And you know the kind of defense he's playing.
Echeverria's batting average and his batting average with runners in scoring position are identical. I think the major league average is generally 4 or 5 points higher with runners in scoring position than your regular average. Scoreless game here. Rick Porcello winless in his last 8 starts and an ERA well over 8. But he looks sharp tonight. Echeverria swings and misses.
It's the first time this start he's backed up anything. You know, those are 2 sliders right there back to back. He hasn't done that. I think Etch was looking for a fastball there, and he just got a little too aggressive.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Miami's shortstop.
Tell you one thing, with D. Gordon on the bases, it's really slowed the pace of Porcello too.
Bohr hoping to get a crack here in the 3rd. Echeverria back to the mound. Porcello over to Poppy. And the Marlins leave a couple here in the 3rd. I love that part. It's Reds and Marlins as tomorrow at 7:10. Seniors 55 and older get free tickets on Senior Free Ticket Thursdays, presented by Wellmax Medical Centers. Visit your local South Florida Subway restaurant. Get a coupon for a $5 ticket as well. Marlins.com.
You know, tomorrow night there'll be a little bit of a buzz at the ballpark. Jose on the mound. 13-0 at Marlins Park against left-hander David Holmberg.
And we've got the game for you, 6:30 for Marlins Live. Get you ready for a 7:10 first pitch. Tom Kohler matching 0 so far with Rick Porcello. And he gets a strike to Alejandro De Aza with Ryan Hannigan and Mookie Betts due up for the Red Sox, who are 5 under, 40 and 45, and only 5.5 outs. Busted bat. Gordon picks it with a backhand and gets the out at first. And there's 1 out here in the 3rd inning. The Red Sox, amazingly, 5 out in the East. Just 5 games out, 5 under. The Yankees losers last night. They've lost 2 in a row. The Rays keep dropping. They're an even 500. They've lost 9 of their last 10.
The Rays lost a doubleheader last night.
Here is Ryan Hanigan. Home run derby has been announced. The participants, the combatants.
It's not going to be the same without Big G out there.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bam. I'm with you.
I was looking forward. I look forward to watching his BP, his home run derby. Just him getting up to the bat. He's an entertainer. There's no doubt about it.
No Bryce Harper in the derby. His father was going to pitch to him, but his father's had some health issues, and so Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, a pair of Cubs, are in there.
You got to like, with the swing plane that Bryant has, you got to like his chances.
Yeah, short, and he's not going to be that type of guy that you have to worry about his swing. He's short and quick to the ball for a big guy too. I mean, he's a tall, big guy. He's
a lot of pressure on Todd Frazier, because it's his hometown.
Second time being in that derby too, as well.
I'll tell you what, a guy you need to look out for is Jock Peterson.
Yeah.
Of the Dodgers. I like the bat speed. I like everything about him in that competition. You've got Todd Frazier, as you noted. Albert Pujols is going to give it one more run.
He's having a great year. He's really bounced back after those injuries last year. It's good to see because he's another guy that's fun to watch him do his job. He wreaks some havoc on pitchers.
How about Miami's own Manny Machado? There's your home run leaders. Stanton is still on top of the list.
Look at Pujols. It is 26th last night.
Hannigan takes in. Kohler walks Boston's catcher, and the top of the order, Mookie Betts, coming up.
We always have a chance, Rich, to talk with Tom's parents. Tom Kohler's parents. Well, they're here visiting. First time they've been Fenway Park. So they're here to see TK pitch as well. There's Rolf.
Not a far drive for them. What, New York?
Worlds apart, New York and Boston.
Yeah.
On MapQuest, not so bad.
Yeah.
But in terms of sports and culture and all of those, there's a pretty big dividing line.
Yeah, you're right.
And here you have tonight a kid born in the Bronx on the mound for the Marlins. And of course, a New Jersey guy who grew up a Mets fan in Rick Porcello. Although most of his friends reportedly were Yankee fans.
Well, there's a good chance with the rivalry they have with the Red Sox, he's no longer a Yankees fan with those 4.5-hour games they get to play.
Yeah, the Yankees are getting ready to renew the rivalry after the Marlins exit tonight. Kohler misses away. Mookie Betts hit the ball out twice. Both times foul back in the first. One was very close. From our vantage point, it looked like it got around the pole when it was just inside of it. Little tapper. Kohler gets it, looks at second, and throws it away at first. Ball bounces wildly. Gordon picks it up, and what looked like a sure out turns into a throwing error, and the Red Sox are set up with just one out, second and third.
Well, it was like a good news, bad news thing there for Tom Kohler. The good news, he made a really good decision not to go to second base. He didn't have a play there. He's thinking about it. There's the good decision. Then it looks like he kind of fumbles finding the grip on the ball, which he never did, and ends up throwing it away at first base.
You know, a lot of the times when you turn that opposite way, when you lead with your arm, the ball's going to sail on him, and that's what happened. And it got over the runner where Bohr, had to take his arm back because he wasn't going to get to it.
Now Kohler's going to have to try to pitch out of this. And he's got Brock Holt, who is an all-star, and Xander Bogaerts, who might just be an all-star, lined up.
Dan Holt, with a base hit in the first inning, extended his hitting streak to 8 games.
I'm going to have to bring my own seat pad next game, guys. These seats are really beating me up.
Well, I believe those are the originals in 1912.
You're right. You're right. I just looked on the serial number. It says 1912 on them.
Everything's authentic here at Fenway.
You're right.
From the small dugouts built for smaller players.
Hey, Pav, how tough is it right now for Tom Kohler after making that error and putting himself in this situation to get back in his game?
Yeah, it's tough. You know what the toughest thing for me was the walking the ninth batter, the catcher, who's hitting 206. You beat yourself up as a pitcher right there, and it could have started then.
On the ground, Gordon has it. Red Sox are going to get a run. Hannigan comes across, and it's 1-0.
And there's that leadoff walk to the light hitting catcher. Comes in and scores.
It's all damage control here from here, guys. He gave up a run. Get this next out and get these guys back in there. Don't let these guys roll on, because the more this lineup flips as the game goes on, you got to remember some of these guys are you're gonna get up that third and fourth time, fifth time.
You see that hashtag X for All-Star Game. He is a member of the final vote. And you can vote at MLB.com. He's got my vote after that at bat last night. That was a game-changing at bat, an epic at bat, and having watched Caps lay waste to just about everybody he's faced over the last month, Bogaerts hung in there, fought off enough pitches, shortened his swing, and knocked in 3 with that liner into right field.
Well, he has some flair, and we talked about him earlier, just 22 years old. You know, the opening of our telecast, we talked about Yelich and Bogaerts. They're 2 guys you would expect in the future to see them in all-star games competing against each other.
That may be one of the themes going into the All-Star Game next Tuesday in Cincinnati, is the youth of both the American League and National League rosters. And some of the young stars, the Bryants, the Petersons, guys stepping out on the national stage.
I think it's great. It's a credit to the organizations giving these young guys opportunities at a young age, allowing them to work through that learning curve and become successful. And the development of these young kids, the maturity. I mean, it's not only a physical game up here; it's very mental. And at a young age, that could be tough.
2-2 to Bogaerts, and it's fouled off.
Well, and we forget Giancarlo Stanton, still just 25. And I think a lot of people forget that he falls into that category when you hear people around baseball talk about young players.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that's been around. It seemed like since he stepped in the uniform, he's done such a tremendous job.
This is going to be a tough play. Echeverria, don't think he's got a chance, and he doesn't. I think Derek Dietrich is the only guy that could have made that play. And even then, he would have had to make an incredible one.
Well, this is exceptionally tough because, boy, Tom Kohler made a perfect pitch. You see how badly he fooled Bogaerts. Just a little chopper. I don't even know if Dietrich cuts in front if he makes that play either.
Yeah, you're right.
It's all about the first step on that play, and Dietrich didn't get that first step, so he wasn't able to get to it.
So Bogaerts with an infield hit and an RBI, and Boston's lead is now 2-0. And the shift for David Ortiz.
You can't give good teams outs like that. A ball hasn't even left the infield, and they got 2 runs.
The walk to Hannigan with 1 out. Betts with a little tapper in front of the mound. Kohler got spun around, as Carl described. And as he wheeled and threw to first, he threw wide. The ball stayed in play. And the Red Sox have done a nice job of scoring both runners. They were set up second and third and one out.
And it puts Tommy in a position right now. He's at 61 pitches in the third inning.
Big Poppy lifts it left field and deep and gone.
Boy, Boston fans have seen that stroke over the years on that breaking ball, how he stays back. 13th year now with the Red Sox. Gets the breaking ball and launches it just like that over the Green Monster. Career home run number 481. And number 193 here at Fenway.
The wind blowing out at Wrigley, any game at Coors Fields, and most games here, pitching coaches will tell you, don't walk anybody, don't make any mistakes. You're going to give up a home run or two. Just try to keep the damage at a minimum. And the Red Sox cash in with 4 runs here in the third. A 1-out walk, a throwing error by Kohler, an infield hit by Bogarts, and a blast by David Ortiz. And as Carl pointed out, that's the only ball of the inning that left the infield. Unfortunately for the Marlins, it left the outfield as well. To right, Ichiro, a good jump, and he's there, and he makes the catch. But Boston puts 4 on the board and lead it 4-0.
Perfect timing because David Ortiz just hit a home run up here. Can I take a look at this? This is the ball right here. Okay, so are you the one that caught the ball? Because I've seen this ball passed around a few times.
Yeah, I caught the ball right here. It went right to me. Wasn't that? Yeah.
Is this the first home run ball you've ever caught?
Oh, yeah. Any foul ball, any home run, first ball I've caught.
Okay, how cool is it that it's David Ortiz? I mean, he's a legend here at Fenway with the Red Sox.
That's crazy. I mean, watching him since I'm 5 years old. I mean, always watching him hit home runs, and finally got one of his, so it's awesome.
All right, what are you going to do with the ball? You going to put it in a glass case? You going to display it? What's the plan?
We got a tip from the guy next to us. We got to get it signed sometime, so hopefully we'll make a trip back and see him in person.
All right, well, congratulations. I mean, if you're going to sit up here on the monster and you're going to catch a David Ortiz home run ball, that's pretty much the coolest thing that can happen. Rich, back to you.
Hey, Jess, you had the tour today of not only the monster, but all over Fenway.
I did.
What'd you see? What'd you learn?
We saw the scoreboard. I learned that it's only one of two manually operated scoreboards. Of course, I mentioned that earlier. The other one is Wrigley. Had a chance to wander up here, learn some of the history behind the Fisk pole and the pesky pole. Learned that the seats up here actually on the Green Monster are pretty young compared to the ballpark itself. These seats have only been up here since 2003, while the ballpark has been in existence since 1912. So a very cool tour. We learned a lot of cool stuff. And really, I mean, comparing Wrigley and Fenway, Wrigley was awesome. It was very cool to experience Wrigleyville for the first time. But in my opinion, guys, I just think that there's something magical about Fenway.
Well, there's been a lot more success here in Fenway than at Wrigley Field.
Oh, there's no question. No question. A couple of titles for the Red Sox. And, of course, the Cubs haven't won a World Series since, I believe, 1917. Is that correct? It has been a while for the Cubs. I know that.
Yes, it has. All right, thank you, Jessica.
All right, thanks, guys.
You're World Series champions 3 times, 04, 07, 2013. Michael Morse, a low liner to right, and that's a base hit. A 1-out single for Morse. Here in the 4th, Derek Dietrich coming up.
Good job by Michael Morse, and we continue to say you just want to see him get locked in and have some good ABs and good swings.
You know, that pitch right there, his first at bat, he tried to pull that fastball that was inside and broke his bat. There he stayed inside of it and went the other way. Got it on the sweet spot of the bat, and he's staying on first for his first single in a while. It's nice to see.
Eric Dietrich, a line drive single to center. Rick Porcello has a lead. Looking for his first win in 2 months, it feels like.
There was some talk amongst the Boston faithful that Porcello might be skipped, but John Farrell, the manager, thought, well, if he's skipped, then you have the All-Star break.
Another hit for Dietrich,
and it would be a long time in between starts. So they started him tonight in hopes that he could put things together.
A 4-run lead going into the 4th doesn't hurt, taking some of that pressure off him, but he's still going to have to make some pitches. This looks like this inning's getting to a point where the Marlins could push for some runs right here.
Hey, Pavy, in your career, both in the minor leagues and the major leagues, did you ever play for a manager that was a ex-pitcher? Like John Farrell, Bud Black, obviously let go by the Padres, and Brian Price in Cincinnati. It's a rare breed, former pitchers as managers.
Yeah, it is. And this is a guy that ran, the player development in the minor leagues for a long time for the Indians. I mean, he is a baseball guy. And, from a pitching coach to a manager just goes to show the type of baseball knowledge he has. I know when I talked to Josh when Beckett was here, he really enjoyed having him as a pitching coach. He learned a lot from him. And, I've never had a pitcher as a manager, to go back to your question, Rich.
Well, years ago you had Roger Craig. Remember Roger Craig and the success he had?
And he was a great pitching coach before he was a manager. Real Muto fouls that one off his foot. 1 out, counts 0-2. Real Muto bounced into a double play in the 2nd. And that pitch is out. Red Sox with 4 runs in the bottom of the 3rd. Those in attendance here at Fenway are keenly aware that the Yankees and Oakland are tied 2-2 in the bottom of the 4th.
All of a sudden, Porcello is getting that pitch count up. First inning, he threw 9 pitches. Second inning, he threw 9. Last inning, he threw 29. And the Marlins have made him work here in the 4th.
Pitch number 60 coming. And it's a 2-2 to JT Realmuto. Who lines it into right field. That's a hit. Morse around third. On his way home. Hustling to third is Dietrich. Miami is on the board. 3 consecutive hits. Realmuto, an RBI hit.
Really good swing by JT right there. A cutter that stayed up. I mean, Porcello's, a lot of his pitches have been flat right now. And it's given the Marlins a good chance to stay on the ball. But that was a great, he didn't try to pull it, went the other way. Nice RBI.
Well, he hit into a double play in the second inning. I think he had in his mind, I'm not going to roll over and pull anything. Good swing. Allows Morse to score, and it allowed Dietrich to go first to third.
And now here's Cole Gillespie, who bounced to short his first time up. And Gillespie hammers one into center. That's a hit. And so Miami cuts the lead in half with 4 consecutive hits. And you can hear the Boston faithful have not been pleased with Porcello over the last 2 months. They're not pleased right now. And here is Ichiro with 1 out.
Well, the Marlins have banged out 7 base hits. The Red Sox have a 4-2 lead. The Red Sox have just 3 hits. But good aggressive swings. When you have a guy who throws a lot of strikes, they haven't wasted too much time.
Carl Willis is the pitching coach for John Farrell. And Willis is out to the mound to talk to Rick Porcello.
Yeah. What a neat guy Carl Willis is. I had him as my pitching coach in Cleveland after I'd left the Yankees. Helped me a lot. What a smart guy. Really one of those pitching coaches you enjoy working with at good times and bad. He really stayed on an even keel and was always there for you.
Justin Masterson in the Red Sox bullpen, and he's heating up in a hurry. So here's Ichiro, who struck out in the third. Ichiro 0 for his last 29. And he fouls that fastball back. It's 0-1.
They're really working Ichiro on that inner half of the plate. He hasn't seen much over the outer half of the plate. They've been really pounding him inside.
Realmuto at second, Gillespie at first.
You know, Ichiro is such a popular guy in the clubhouse on the bench. Did you know everybody on that bench is pulling for him too, to break out of this and get himself a base hit?
I have a good feeling about this at bat.
Ichiro sends it out to left center field. It's going to fall for a hit. And Ichiro snaps an 0 for 29 with a flare into left center. Good work by Carl Pavano. And here comes D. Gordon with the bases loaded.
Well, it wasn't a line drive, but Ichiro at this point, any hitter is going to take this. And a good job with the base runners, too. Picking that up that, you got to go about halfway. Make sure that ball drops. And see, everybody on that bench, they love that for Ichi, too.
Now, the Marlins have some speed in the trail runner with Ichiro at first. And now you've got Gordon, who has singled and was out trying to bunt. Infield except for third, back for 2. And Gordon fouls it back to the screen. A great opportunity to cut even more off of this Red Sox lead, which was 4-0 to start the inning.
There's nothing more frustrating as a pitcher. You get a 4-run lead and you go into the next inning and you find yourself, you got bases loaded with 1 out and letting that team back in the game.
Sandoval comes home, gets the out there. As big as he is, Sandoval is an incredible athlete and can make athletic plays, and he did there.
Did you mean round, Rich?
No, I was being kind.
Well, that's what was amazing. We heard Red Sox fans talking, and they haven't been pleased with the defense that Sandoval has played. When we have seen him as a San Francisco Giant, always has had sure hands and has played a good third base.
Ryan Hannigan counseling Rick Porcello. It's Yelich now with the bags loaded and 2 outs.
Yelich's last at bat, he saw everything that Porcello could throw him. So he's in a good position right here he's seen all his pitches to maybe get a good pitch to drive.
There's a strike. Gillespie, Ichiro, and Gordon on base for the Fish from left to right. Yelich holds and held up, checked his swing. A ball and a strike. A 9-game hit streak, 17 hits in those 9 games. Sitting on a 1-1 pitch. It's hard to move your batting average up after you get a couple hundred at bats. But Yelich was hitting 196 on May 26th. And here on July 8th, he entered at 266. Well, that pitch was just inside. Here's the 2-1. Slow breaking ball. Caught the plate.
Yelich really didn't look that fooled there. He wasn't out on his front foot at all. I think he's seeing the ball pretty well off this guy.
See if he tries to go back in after that breaking ball.
Hannigan has been really active behind the plate. Pace of play memo apparently didn't make it to Rick Porcello's locker. Greg Minervini and Jeff Conine will start us off at 6:30 tomorrow night. South Florida Honda Dealers Jose's second start from Red Sox to Cincinnati Reds. Now the 2-2. Yelich and Porcello spears it, gets the out. Miami leaves the bags loaded, but not before they scored twice and cut the Red Sox lead in half. In Boston, in the 4th, it's 4-2. Boston. The rain has stayed away. The Red Sox opened up a 4-0 lead against Tom Kohler, but Miami has cut it in half with 2 runs of their own. And here is Pablo Sandoval, Shane Victorino, Alejandro De Aza. Sandoval flied to center in the second. Let's see if Tom Kohler can bounce back. That third inning, the one at bat that Kohler would like to have back. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's probably a few. But the 2-run homer by David Ortiz put the finishing touches on a messy inning. A 1-out walk to the 9-hitter. A throwing error by Kohler on Mookie Betts' comebacker. The Red Sox would get 4 innings before the inning was done. Sandoval into the hole. Echeverria plants. A nice throw to get him. And there are 2 outs, or there are 1 out. Tigers and Twins in a game that can be seen on Fox Sports 1 beginning at 4 Eastern and at 7 Eastern. Baseball Night in America. Yankees and Red Sox on your local Fox station all this week on your home for baseball every Saturday. Fox and Fox Sports 1. Here is Victorino with 1 out. And Kohler throws a strike.
How about the fact that just 1 of the 8 runs the Red Sox have scored in these 2 games, only 1 run has been earned.
Yeah, the error last night by Miguel Rojas at third was costly. And then Kohler's throwing error on Mookie Betts' ball in the third, very costly. That would have been the 2nd out of the inning, and I know you can't reconstruct innings. But Brock Holt bounced out the next at bat. Instead of being the 3rd out, that ended up scoring the run. End of the bat on Victorino. Kohler gets the out. Now there's 2 outs. And up comes Alejandro De Aza. What game has caught your eye tonight across the landscape of Major League Baseball, Tommy Hutton?
Well, the one I was keeping an eye on that never started was that Cincinnati game against the Nationals. That could change tomorrow night's pitcher too, against Jose Fernandez.
So true. So true.
I'll tell you the game that caught my eye because he continues to throw the ball well. The Mets, a 4-1 win in San Francisco. Jacob deGrom, 8 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 10 strikeouts.
Tommy, I think it's the hair.
Center field. Gillespie makes the catch. That's a nice bounce back inning from Tom Kohler. Moore and Michael Morse against Rick Porcello, who was a hitter or two away from coming out of the ball game. Believe it or not, in the fourth, the Marlins wrapped out 5 consecutive hits. John Farrell grew concerns. We saw Justin Masterson getting up in the pen, and he was trying his best to get hot right before the inning ended. Of the Tigers' rotation the last couple years, where would you put Porcello in the pecking order?
He was always number 4 or 5. I mean, when Verlander was pitching the way he could, and then when they got David Price with Anibal Sanchez,
Scherzer.
Yeah, so he was down.
Fister.
That one fouled back to the screen.
He was down, but he was consistent. I mean, we talked about the fact that every year he was a Tiger, 10 or more wins. Pretty consistent in not going on the disabled list.
He was due and is getting paid over $12 million this year. And then the extension the Red Sox gave him, $84 million for 4 years. And I guess for a guy that's a 4 or 5 starter, that's pretty good, as Eck would say. What would Eck say, iron?
That's pretty good iron.
Pretty good iron. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Hashtag FLDataStrongFan. And you just might see yourself in an upcoming telecast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Carl Pavano, psychologically, what happens to a pitcher when he goes from being a 4 or 5 to a high-paid guy suddenly at the top or near the top of a high-profile team's rotation?
You know, it could be a number of things. You start trying to do things that haven't been proved to be successful for you. You try to change your game to be someone you aren't. You know, I think for him, he is the pitcher he is. He's 6 years into his career. He knows he's still trying to, find that consistency. But, he's a fastball guy that wants to get the ball on the ground. I mean, look at him. Look at this start. Both of these pitchers have really filled their position really well. Without Porcello being able to fill his position, these Marlins would have scored quite a few more runs.
Pappy, could you just turn around and order me a hot dog?
Yeah, I know. I told you the seat is just beating me up. You see me standing over here? I'm blocking all the photographers. They're not very happy with me. But I said, I can't sit any longer.
We'd like you on the rail. We're just glad that you're not chewing sunflower seeds.
Yeah, right?
It's cramped quarters everywhere at Fenway. Clubhouse, dugout, camera well, booth, concession areas. Bogarts loads up and throws Morse out. And Porcello a 1-2-3 fifth. Halfway through in Boston 4-2 Red Sox. Let's go back to the last time the Marlins beat the Red Sox. It was in Miami. First year of the ballpark. Josh Johnson on the hill. JJ would go 7 innings, strike out 7.
Nasty sliders.
He was fun to watch pitch, wasn't he, guys?
Yeah, he kept that ball down. He threw that slider. Boy, he threw a heavy fastball.
Ryan Hannigan, Mookie Betts, Brock Holt, bottom 5, 4-2 Boston. Tom Kohler's bump in the road was a rather large one in the 3rd. A 1-out walk to Hannigan, the throwing error on the Betts ball. A couple runs scored, 1 on a ground ball, 1 on an infield hit, and then Big Papi went big fly and homered over the monster.
I was surprised to see Kohler go with that curveball there. He had really beat him up on fastballs, struck him out looking his first at bat.
Pitches in.
He's having a tough time with Hannigan today.
For whatever reason, his control has been very good against everybody else. And Hannigan walks. This time it's a leadoff walk. Dan Jennings watching from Miami's dugout. Now here's Betts. Red Sox have a 2-run lead. They hit and ran, I should say. They hit and ran successfully, did those Red Sox last night.
Something over the years a lot of Red Sox teams didn't do, mainly because of the nature of their lineup, the nature of the ballpark.
Double play ball would be great right here.
Betts shortens the bunt. Dietrich trots in. The ball into strike.
Last night in the 2nd inning, Mookie Betts grounded into a double play. But it was the first one of the season for him, so he doesn't hit into too many. He'd gone 323 ABs without grounding into a double play.
Talked about him last night. His parents a fan of former basketball star Mookie Blaylock. He's 5'9", 180 pounds. A lot of energy. And a guy that in the minors had big numbers. 298 games in the minor leagues, 92 stolen bases, 315 average, 408 on base, 470 slugging percentage.
Yeah, and last year, you talked last night about when he joined the ball club, but he blew his way through the system. 355 in Double-A, 335 in Triple-A. Got to the Red Sox, and in his 52 games hit 291.
Yeah, you could see he's got really good balance at the plate. Good back control. Between him and Bogart, not huge guys, very big.
Dietrich, low throw. Gordon dug it out, but couldn't get the runner at first. That's an uncomfortable spot to be in as a second baseman. Runner coming at you and the ball at your ankles. Yeah. Saturday Spectacular on the 11th of July. Marlins and Reds. 4:10 start on this one. All you can eat seats for just $35 after the game. Concert on the West Plaza with Puerto Rican salsa star Jerry Rivera. It's presented by Bacardi. Go to Marlins.com for tickets.
I was trying to do my best salsa while you were reading.
So that's what that was. I thought one of those peanuts you've been eating went down the wrong pipe. It's a breaking ball to Brock Holt.
I would have paid to see that, Tommy.
Holt knocked in a run with a ground ball out in the 3rd. Brock Holt out of Rice University. To right, Ichiro on the run, and he's there and makes the catch. This is not an easy right field to play. That's why Dwight Evans played right in the 70s, and Jim Rice played left.
And Dwight Evans played it as well as anybody ever has, and has at Fenway Park. Yeah, you have the spaciousness in the gap, and then you also have that corner down the right field line that we talked about. So yeah, it's odd to play left field, but a little easier because it's so shallow.
If they were to build Fenway Park today, I believe in the late 50s, early 60s, Major League Baseball enacted some sort of bylaw that said there has to be a minimum amount of distance from home plate to the foul pole in any new park construction. I want to say that distance is 325 feet. That wouldn't cut it. And that probably wouldn't cut it either, down to that pole.
Every once in a while you see a left-hander fool badly and out front of the pitch and just kind of hook it, but get it in the air enough and it curls around the pesky pole.
1-0 pitch to Xander Bogaerts. He hits that one to right, hits it well. Ichiro back and there and makes the catch. Red Sox hit a couple on the nose. Ichiro a nice play in right. 4-2 Boston. In Boston tonight, Fenway Park, 4-2. Red Sox on top of the Marlins. It's the 6th inning. Rick Porcello and Tom Kohler both still in there. And the pitcher comparison. Porcello delivers and Derek Dietrich flips it foul. Dietrich's 2 for 2 tonight. The Marlins have swung it quite well tonight. 8 hits, but just the 2 runs. They had 5 consecutive hits in the 4th. Porcello, Dietrich, I don't know if he felt that caught him on the arm, but he looked like he took a step towards first and looked at the umpire, waiting for Gabe Morales to give him the green light.
Now remember, early on we told you we liked this matchup. Dietrich, a good low ball hitter. Did it just graze? The ball didn't look like it changed directions much.
Well, you like the fact that Porcello is a low ball pitcher.
And you have a low ball hitter. So it's a good matchup.
He's done a really good job of staying up the middle, too, not trying to do too much with his pitches. He fought off a really tough pitch his last at bat that he fought off the middle and broke his back. But this is a guy that if you try to pull him, you make him a lot tougher than he is.
Dietrich steps out. The Yankees have a 3-2 lead over Oakland in the top of the 6th. Being around Red Sox fans for the last couple of days here in Boston, one thing you learn pretty quickly, they obviously are in love with the Red Sox. They follow the Red Sox intently, whether it's on the radio, Dave O'Brien, Joe Castiglione, or on Nesson. Dietrich, a little tapper back to the mound. But they also follow the Yankees, because they want to know exactly what the Yankees are doing every day of the week. All right, baseball's best players will gather in Cincinnati for the Midsummer Classic. Home field advantage for the World Series is on the line. Coverage starts in 2015 Major League Baseball All-Star Game on Tuesday, July 14th, 7 Eastern on Fox, and streams live on Fox Sports Go. Dietrich is out. Here is JT Realmuto. Milwaukee wins again, and they get some big home runs late to beat the Braves. Chris Davis, a 2-run homer, and then Carlos Gomez, a solo shot. 6-5. Milwaukee beats Atlanta. Braves are a game under at 42 and 43. And Milwaukee's played very well the last month.
Now, I was reading earlier, Rich, I don't know if you saw this, San Diego with the state of their season. It sounds like they may be in the process of dangling Craig Kimbrell out there, Justin Upton.
Yes. I'm with you. I read a similar article that said that the Padres, if things don't turn around in a hurry, and they're at 39 and 47, they will be sellers at the deadline. A lot of offseason moves, and it hasn't quite worked out for the Padres. You could say the same about the Marlins. A busy offseason.
A busy offseason and high expectations for both the Padres and the Marlins.
And a sluggish start for Miami, then a rash of injuries, and now the Marlins find themselves 14 under. There's the West and the National League. The Padres 8.5 back. The Dodgers 4.5 up over San Francisco, and the Giants took big hits in Miami and in Washington on that last road trip.
So the Dodgers look like they're playing well, and of course the Giants have struggled, so the Dodgers getting a little separation in their lead. Yeah, the Padres and the Brewers are the only National League teams the Marlins haven't seen this year.
That's right.
So we'll see our good friend Craig Counsell, who's so we'll see two teams, and when the Marlins play, it'll be three teams that change managers.
Thought you were going to say we'll see our good friend the swinging Friar.
Well, we'll see him too. Was it after the All-Star break? Philadelphia, Arizona, San Diego.
Which in Spanish, Carl Pavano, means?
San Diego?
Yes.
You got me on that one.
Oh, good. That's a good answer.
I was hoping you were going to ask me that one. San Diego took on some contracts, though, didn't they, this offseason with Kemp and the two Uptons and Kimbrell? I mean, they probably took on I mean, the Dodgers probably took a lot of Kemp's contract, but they took on a lot of money.
And they have, as Tommy pointed out, Justin Upton's contract is up after this year, but not his brother Melvin.
Formerly known as BJ.
Right.
Yeah.
Two balls, two strikes. Rick Porcello trying to get through this sixth inning. He's kind of quieted the crowd down, so to speak. He's usually you hear this about a team that's winning or winning on the road, but he's kept the crowd out of it, hasn't he? Swing and a miss. They've not been on his side lately, and now they're starting to rally towards the 26-year-old right-hander. Reminds you that Ted Williams hit a 3-run home run in the bottom of the ninth to lead the American League past the National League in the All-Star game. Ted Williams, there's a great photo leading to the television booths on a wall with a lot of old Red Sox photos, and it's of Ted Williams dressed in only a towel in the Red Sox clubhouse swinging a bat.
It's what he did. That's who he was.
Here's Tom Kohler to David Ortiz, and Jessica Blaylock is out there somewhere with some thoughts on the splendid splinter.
That's right, Rich. I have wandered over to the Ted Williams seat back in 1946. Williams hit a home run that traveled 502 feet. This is the exact location where that ball landed. So in 1984, the Red Sox organization painted this seat red to stand out amongst the rest of the green seats to commemorate Ted Williams and where that monster home run landed. And hey, it may not necessarily be the view from atop the green monster, but considering the history of this seat, it's a steal at only $28 a game.
Big Poppy knocks that one into the seats on a hop, and that'll be a ground rule double. And the Red Sox are off to a loud start in the sixth inning. Jessica, stay there for a second. Hutt, low fastball. Big Poppy went and got it.
Well, we saw him stay back on the breaking ball and hit the home run over the monster. This time he takes care of a low fastball. Oh, I saw one of the interesting notes on Ted Williams. His final at bat, he homered. His 521st home run, and that was it.
Didn't come back for a curtain call. Hey, Jess, that seat out there, is it a sold seat? Is there someone that owns that as a season ticket?
It's actually a seat that can be purchased individually for every single game. So if someone wanted to sit in the Ted Williams seat, it is sold as a solo ticket, but again, only $28 per game, so that's an incredible deal. And you know what? There's not really a bad seat at Fenway, so if you get a chance to come and sit in a seat that's got a little bit of history behind it, I think that's pretty cool.
That is, you see the way the camera pans out, that is a long, long ways.
I could have swore I've given up a homer longer than that in this field.
502 feet. Hit Tracker Online measured the home run. They went back and looked at the video of that home run. Hit Tracker Online had it at about 530 feet. I'm not kidding on that. Little historical hit track. Maybe that's the one bad seat. All right, behind that pole.
Well, that's the thing about here in Wrigley. You can get stuck behind one of those seats that has a big beam in front of you. That's even worse than sitting behind Carl Pavano
right now.
Tonight.
I'm doing my best. I haven't gotten yelled at yet.
If you're just joining us, Carl Pavano is down in the third base camera well, and it's cramped quarters there. He got a vintage 1912 Fenway opening day commemorative seat.
Here it is.
Wow.
Here we go. Look at this. My butt hardly fits on this thing. I have to lose some weight after this trip.
I think Joe Lewis sat on that stool in a prize fight here at Fenway long ago. We like you on the rail.
Yeah, I like it on the rail too, but I'm trying not to get the photographers too upset with me right now.
I think you and Jess could take them.
All right. We might have to.
Ortiz with a double. Hanley is up. And Ramirez lines it into center field. Ortiz was started back to second. And the Red Sox have a couple of loud hits to open up the sixth inning. For Ramirez, it's his first hit of the series. He's now 1 for 7.
Well, I remember he hit a scalding line drive in his first at bat, so he's hit the ball pretty well tonight. But you also saw how, because of the line drive nature, Ortiz has to just hold. No Mookie Betts out there. It's Big Papi.
You know, they talk about guys. Certain guys, the bat comes off their bat. The ball comes off the bat and just sounds different. I mean, it sounds incredibly different off of Ramirez's bat.
You know, tomorrow in a lot of the Japanese papers, there's going to be pictures of Carl's back. And that'll be the headline, Carl's back. And they'll think you're making a return to the big leagues.
I think this guy wants Sandoval. He's telling me to sit down. Very nicely, though, but he's telling me to sit down for a second.
Yeah, just it's all right. You know, it's everybody's got to get along down there. Ask Craig about that. Craig has had.
Craig sits on one of these seats?
Carl is enhancing global relationships.
Yes, I am.
Making friends. That one flipped up into the seats. The capacity for Fenway has grown over the last 10 to 15 years. This used to be the smallest ballpark in all of baseball. The capacity is now just shy of 38,000. 37,673. Marlins Park is actually the smallest by capacity in the game. Sandoval, a bouncer to short. Got one there. Gordon's turn from Echeverria is in time to get the double play. The Red Sox cash in a run. Kohler gets 2 outs, and it's a 5-2 game.
Yeah, I think when Henry took over the Red Sox, he expanded a lot of this. I know they added the seats above the Green Monster up on the top deck over here. I wonder how many seats there were, what the capacity was before he bought the team.
Well, when they expanded it and put the upper level on, kind of the third deck wrapping around from foul pole to foul pole, the supports were already in place. They'd built the place and expanded it thinking they might go that high, and they did. I think one of the best additions is out in right field. The Budweiser bar and terrace out there with great standing room spots. That was one of the nicest additions they made in the renovations in the mid-2000s.
Probably a good place to watch a game. It doesn't look like there's many bad places in this stadium.
A strike. to Shane Victorino. So a run here in the 6th. And it's an earned run. The Red Sox haven't had many of those in this series.
We talked about it earlier. Tommy's at a point right now. He gets through this inning. It might be his last inning. That error that he made, giving them those outs and extending that inning, really got his pitch count to a point where 6 innings might be his max.
104 pitches here for Kohler. And Victorino pops it up. Echeverria calls off Dietrich and makes the catch. Kohler gives up a run, gets through 6, but Miami trails it 5-2. Marlins fans, Fish family members can get bonus points during every Marlins road game that's telecast on Fox Sports Florida. Learn more. Just log in. Go to marlins.com/fishfamily. Bonus code tonight is Boston. Tom Kohler. And if you were around earlier in the ballgame, you know the walk and the throwing error opened the door for the 4 runs in the 3rd. He gives up a run in the 6th. And so Kohler's night consists of 6 innings. But the Red Sox have 5 runs. Only 1 of them earned.
In this situation, when you have Ichiro hitting in the number 9 spot, and then D. Gordon and Christian Yelich, it makes it an easy decision.
That's Robbie Ross Jr., and he almost threw it by Big Poppy. Ichiro, who singled this last time up, is out number 1 in the 7th.
Good swing, though, by Ichiro. He almost got that ball by Ross. But it makes it easy for a manager, in this case John Farrell, to bring in a lefty because he knows he has 3 consecutive left-handers coming up. Good job. Ichiro got that breaking ball, tried to go right back up the middle, but it was knocked down by Robbie Ross.
Robbie Ross, part of Texas bullpen, and was a starter last year, a part-time starter, made a dozen starts. He was in the Rangers bullpen from 2012 to 2013. Out of Lexington, Kentucky, D. Gordon trying to bunt for a hit. So Ross is in, Porcello is out, Dyson is up, and you would think he'll be coming in for Kohler. And Gordon really trying to test Sandoval at 3rd. Counts 1-2. Cardinals are beating the Cubs tonight, 4-0.
Yeah, not too often We talked about it. Kansas City won a doubleheader against the Rays, and the Cubs won a doubleheader last night against the Cardinals.
Gordon strikes out, and there are 2 outs here in the 7th. That's a 4th inning game and something to keep an eye on. Michael Walker's not given up a hit yet against the Cubs. 4-0 Cardinals. Padres and Pirates are now tied 2-2. That's in the 8th in Pittsburgh. Pirates have been so good lately. Yankees lead over Oakland is now 4-2, bottom 6. And a strike to Christian Yelich.
Teixeira with a couple of home runs in the Yankees-Oakland game.
There's your updated matchup. So it's Jose Fernandez, Marlins, and as we talked about, the Reds rained out tonight, and so their whole rotation gets pushed back a day.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. You would think they would stay with what they had because Holmberg was just kind of fill in, kind of their 5th starter. Because if they do that, the Marlins wouldn't see Johnny Cueto on the last day leading into the break.
Didn't the Marlins have the same situation when they went into Cincinnati? Where the Reds had a rain out and we didn't know who the starter was going to be, and it ended up being right-hander Leach.
Mike Leake. He should pitch in that series in Miami as well. Might see DeSclafani. The Marlins did see Lorenzen in that series in Cincinnati.
And Michael Lorenzen. Not Jared Lorenzen, the former Kentucky quarterback. I'm not going to say that nickname. Come on. John Solser, our producer, former Gator, SEC fan.
Trying to egg you on.
Yes, he wants to hear that Jared Lorenzen, a rather large quarterback in his day at Kentucky. This is a Cal State Fullerton guy, Michael Lorenzen. Count 2-2 with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. Yelich 0 for 2. Sandoval has it, and Robbie Ross Jr. a 1-2-3 7th.
This happened tonight. A check by Tom Kohler, then gets squared up to first, threw the ball away. Some unearned runs. Poppy with a 2-run shot, number 481 in his career. So the errors in Tom Kohler's outing, he allowed the 5 runs, but just 1 earned. And now he turns it over to Sam Dyson, who comes in out of the bullpen.
Dyson gets the 8-9-1 hitters in the Boston lineup. Alejandro De Aza, who's bounced out and flied out. Ryan Hannigan and Mookie Betts. This is De Aza, a former Marlin. This is Alejandro De Aza. He's been a few places since then.
Little guy just keeps popping up. He's a solid extra outfielder.
5 years with the White Sox. Last year split his time between there and Baltimore. Had a pretty good year last year. 24 doubles, 8 homers. He's 31 now. Was with the Marlins in parts of 07 and 09.
Yeah, actually made his major league debut as a Marlin in 07, April of 07.
Little tapper. Picked up there by Dyson, who throws it away.
You got to concentrate. You have to think about what you're doing. You have to square up your body. You can't just lollipop it to first base. If you do all those other things, you'll make a solid throw.
You're right, Tommy. He just stood up to a wreck too, like he had the out and it was an easy out. You take it for granted, it comes back and bites you. You got to stay in an athletic position to control that baseball.
And Dyson knew it as soon as he released it. So the Marlins make another error tonight. They've both been by pitchers, Tom Kohler and now Dyson. 37 errors on the season for the Fish. 6 are by pitchers.
Couple of outings ago, Dyson made an error against San Francisco.
The Dodgers, the only team in the National League who have made fewer errors than the Marlins. Dodgers 34 errors going into play tonight. Miami now at 37. Next on the list, Arizona, just 41. Here is Hannigan. Runner goes, little hit and run, poke to the right side. Gordon underhand flip, gets the out. On Sunday, the 12th, the Marlins and the Reds go at it at 1:10, and it's Henderson Alvarez bobblehead night, or day, I should say, powered by South Florida Ford. You can pick up Pepsi 4 for $74 pack, where you get 4 tickets, 4 KM beef franks, 4 Pepsis for $74. After the game, kids can run the bases in the Diamond Dash, but give the bobbleheads to mom and dad before you run the bases. Go to Marlins.com today. Now Betts, who was 0 for 3. Ball and a strike. After day 1 of the final vote, a lot of guys.
What are the early returns, Rich?
A lot of guys had some big nights last night who were final vote guys. It was in this ballpark. Xander Bogaerts with the big hit and that great at bat against Carter Capps. Johnny Cueto.
I think Dozier hit a 3-run homer.
That's where I was headed.
Yeah.
A walk-off 2-run homer.
2-run.
And then today, he hit another 2-run homer over the Orioles. So that's a pretty big statement. Runner goes, swing and a miss. The throw is high, and that's into left field. And scoring is De Aza. And the Marlins are throwing it all over Fenway Park.
JT Realmuto rushed the throw because De Asa got a walking lead. Look at that. Not checked by Dyson. And then he tries to rush the throw. When you do that, sometimes you airmail it. And De Asa comes in to score. Stolen base, and then an error charge to Realmuto.
That's about as ugly and unearned a run as you're going to get.
Wow.
Two outs. Here's Brock Holt. Oh, 2.
You can do all the PFP you want, but if you don't put in an effort, you're not going to complete plays.
He hurt himself there. He's got no one else to blame but himself for that.
Toyota Trend. This better be good.
I need something right here. I need something.
I think we all do. Best against the Marlins all time. The Red Sox in interleague, only 33 games, but 23-10.
Yet another unearned run for the Red Sox.
So Boston has scored 6 runs. 1 of them earned in this ball game. Last night, 4 runs, 1 of them earned. So 10 runs, and only 2 of them earned. Am I off on that? Can I get some math help? Pitch in the dirt.
Can I get an amen? That's what I'm looking for.
You could think of a few other words.
Wow. No, that was perfect.
But you wouldn't hear them in church, okay? Dietrich across the diamond in time. Inning over, another unearned run. Red Sox stretch their lead in Fenway at 6-2. And Big Chicken Deluxe. Get 2 for $5. Checkers, it's in the bag. 6-2. Boston on top. 3 errors by Miami has led to 5 unearned runs for Boston. And the Red Sox go to their bullpen. Matt Barnes, a righty. He started the season in AAA.
No, Rich, I'm just looking at the pitchers for Cincinnati in that series. They have backed everybody up. So that means on the Sunday game, it will not be Johnny Cueto. So it'll be Lorenzen, Holmberg, who is supposed to pitch tomorrow. So Holmberg on Friday, Leake on Saturday, and DeSclafani on Sunday.
There were a lot of, not a lot, but a handful of National League pitchers who were on the bubble as far as the All-Star game. They were hoping it would be Cueto on Sunday, and it might open up another spot. Echeverria leads it off. Barnes with a fastball at 96 for a strike. Echeverria, Justin Bour, Michael Morse for Miami in the 8th. This was a Rick Porcello start, and it went relatively well. 6 innings, 2 runs on 8 hits. Echeverria to center. It's hit pretty well. Betts is back, and he's there and makes the catch. All right, bring on the little car, will you? And here's tomorrow's starter.
This would be the bullpen car.
Presented by Chevron. You're right. Michael Lorenzen now is the starter for the Reds, and Jose Fernandez gets the ball for the Fish. We've got it for you. 6:30 start for Marlins Live tomorrow night. Here's Justin Bour. Bour has singled and bounced out twice.
No, we haven't talked too much about Martin Prado as A.J. Ramos gets loose. Prado playing for the 2nd straight night in Jupiter in the Florida State League. Last night he was 1 for 4. He DH'd. I believe DHing again tonight, but had a couple of hits his first 2 times up.
Any bit of good news is welcome. You hope that in a couple weeks' time you start to get updates on Giancarlo Stanton and his road back. Matt Barnes out of UConn. Two balls, 2 strikes.
You would expect for sure that Martin Prado, if all goes well and there are no setbacks, that he would be back after the All-Star break.
Bour hits a high fly ball to center. Betts is there, and he makes the catch. There's 2 outs. A reminder, you can tweet your strongest fan photo, hashtag FL DataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming telecast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Everyone bracing for Sweet Caroline. We haven't had that yet tonight.
Kind of looking forward to that right now.
Carl Pavano, how are you making out down there with the photogs?
I scared off a couple of the photographers, so I got a little more room, but I'm doing all right. I think I'm starting to get the people behind me a little bit angry because I've been standing for a couple innings now. But
Michael Morse hits that one to right center. A ton. It's deep, and it's gone. And a great sign for the Marlins and for Morse. You have to be a big, strong man as a right-handed bat to get it out there. It's right in that 420 corner in deepest, darkest right center field.
And this was a pitch that was 96 miles an hour. It was supposed to be away, ended up in the middle in, and he stayed inside of it. What a great swing. Just like the swing he had his last at bat. Stayed inside that ball and took care of it.
Boy, and to me, that's better than Sweet Caroline, to see Michael Morse do that. A couple of hits tonight, good swings. Boy, there's some power there, and that's certainly needed.
He didn't waste any time. That's got to feel good for him. Come in tonight and make an impact. I know they're losing, but he's had 2 hits. He's back in the lineup. He's that big guy you need in the lineup.
(6-3). Dietrich is 2 for 3. And he takes a strike.
The other thing, the Marlins with all singles tonight. That was the first extra base hit in the ball game.
Yeah, no home runs last night here at Fenway. Dietrich's got a 3-hit night. And solid liner into center field. And so Miami showing signs of life here with 2 outs in the 8th. Up comes JT Realmuto. Boston's bullpen starts into action. Alexei Ogando, who has an electric arm. Marlins got a look at him a few years ago when he was a Texas Ranger. And Carl Willis, Carl Pavano's good buddy, is on his way out to the mound to talk it out with Matt Barnes. Javi, while we have you, Jose Fernandez tomorrow night. What did you think in game 1, and what are you looking for in game 2 for Jose?
You know, as you saw in the first inning, he was just, just kind of feeling for his pitches and not being too aggressive. But once he got in the flow of the game, I think that was a great first step. He's obviously healthy. His stuff is back. His command for his fastball, all that stuff's going to get better. Now he's a home run hitter. I mean, how great is that? Right? Spend 14 months rehabbing, and you hit a homer and get a win. I mean, it's just a great story. And just the quotes that he made, how appreciative he is to get a second chance to do what he loves. I mean, for me, it was touching to hear those words come out of his mouth at such a young age. And I think things are going to just keep moving forward for this young man. He's got too good of stuff and too good a mentality to, just pick up where he left off. I think everything's there. It's just going to take reps.
Realmuto takes a strike. I don't think he's going to see too many fastballs in fastball counts.
Now, Pabby, I'm doing a quick check here. 2 career home runs for yourself. They're both in the same year.
Yeah. Both
in 04.
Yeah, free agent year. I was trying to, in California, too, both of them.
Both with the Marlins.
Yep.
You know what? It paid off.
It did pay off.
And you know what? I know he remembers the pitcher and the pitch.
Oh, I do. Jason Schmidt was my first one.
I was going to say it was in San Francisco, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
He blew me up with sinkers, made me look stupid. Then he hung me a changeup, and then the next guy was Sterling Hitchcock. He retired after that. He got taken out after my 3-run homer, and he retired after that start.
There's the 0-2. Realmuto takes out. A ball and 2 strikes. Derek Dietrich single, followed a Michael Morse homer. JT stays alive, fouls it back to the screen.
For me, guys, I'm watching this. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but this guy's throwing 97 miles an hour. He has not backed up a fastball with a fastball. And I'm sure the catcher's calling the game. He's throwing all this off-speed pitches, giving guys, but he's blowing fastballs like Hetch. He blew a 97-mile-an-hour fastball right by him, then he throws him a curveball, and Hetch almost hits it in the gap. But this type of fastball, I don't know, the fooling around, it frustrates me.
Wonder if he's a little leery after seeing the fastball that Michael Morse hit.
It's possible.
Yeah, but that's Michael Morse.
Yeah.
It was it could have been the right pitch. It was the wrong location. It was supposed to be away. Ended up, practically down the middle. So you expect guys to hit those pitches. But at 97, for me, he's fooling around too much.
There's a breaking ball, and there's Real Muto staying alive again. Miami has out-hit Boston 10-5. The problem is the Marlins have out-errored the Red Sox 3-0, and 5 of Boston's 6 runs are unearned. Real Muto out in front, pops it to shallow left. Bogart's calling, and he makes the catch. Marlins get 1 run back. Michael Morse, his 3rd of the season, a long ways out to right center. 6-3 Boston. Little Neil Diamond for you on a night where the Red Sox lead the Marlins. A.J. Ramos comes in, and Ramos will work in the bottom of the 8th. He'll get Xander Bogaerts, David Ortiz, and Hanley Ramirez. And A.J. Ramos has had quite a year, especially after he claimed the closer's role, has run with it, has been terrific, and he works in a spot where traditionally closers have not fared well, and that is you come in a low leverage spot without a lot of adrenaline. He faces Bogaerts to begin with. It's fouled back.
I think in AJ's case, because he had this role before, it's it's not as drastic as some closer who just works that 9th inning all the time. AJ had to earn his spot and came in, but he's used to working 7th, 8th innings at various times in his career.
Since he became the closer, he's blown the 1 save, and that was in Toronto. He got the loss in that game. And a little known nugget popped out of that. He had gone 119 appearances, which is a club record, without a loss.
Wow.
His last previous loss was back in 2013 in July. Dietrich crossed the diamond in time.
He's fun to watch throw. I mean, this year you see him throwing his changeup a little more. And as a closer, when you have 3 commandable pitches, he's got an above average fastball. He's got a great slider, and that changeup is just a difference maker when you can go to that extra pitch. And when you go back to intensity, this guy does not run short on intensity. He's the nicest guy off the field, but when he's between those lines, he is all business.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, you talked about last year, Rich. He was 7-0 last year. Gave up just 1 home run last season. And in 64 innings.
Big poppy towards the pole, and it's foul.
Just 36 hits and 73 strikeouts. That was last year.
And he had a stint on the DL last year because there was a time when he was getting run out there a lot because the starters weren't going deep, and he came back and pitched just as good. I mean, this guy is very talented. A homegrown guy, too, which is always nice to see.
And Ramos came up in the Marlins system as a closer. Gordon out in shallow right gets the out. And Ramos has the first 2 outs of the bottom of the 8th. Marlins Live checkers.
Here's that changeup right there.
After the ball game, Craig Minervini, Preston Wilson, big poppy, big fly. And the Marlins 3 errors, 5 of Boston's 6 runs unearned tonight.
Yeah, so
Koji Uehara in the bullpen. Here's Hanley. And Hanley lines one towards the pole and it's foul. Now watch during that at bat, the big poppy at bat.
He's laughing. Well, Salute said that's a pretty good changeup.
That's good. I mean, that's good to see.
We talk about a lot of times, usually with a starting pitcher, we talk about mound presence. A.J. Ramos has mound presence.
Yeah. He certainly does, Tommy. He loves getting that ball back. He can't wait to come after that hitter. He does not waste time out there. He doesn't have crazy antics. He's all business.
The 1-1 to Ramirez. That one fouled at the plate. Hanley Ramirez last night an 0 for 4. Has hit the ball hard 3 times in this one. He's lined out twice and singled. Brad Hand getting some work in Miami's bullpen. Ramos with a fastball just missed.
He stood Ramirez up there nicely. He had him kind of leaning over the plate. And
you liked that one, didn't you, Pat?
I love that stuff right there. That's pitching. This next pitch, for me, it gives you so many more possibilities. He could go back in, which would probably surprise Ramirez, or he could expand away. It just gives you a lot of
Count 3-2. Pablo Sandoval on deck.
Their paths didn't cross here in Miami, Ramirez and Ramos. I don't think so.
I think Hanley may have been gone by the time AJ.
Hanley was gone, what, July of 12? Swing and a miss. Ramos strikes out Hanley Ramirez. Certainly they knew each other from spring training and such. To the ninth, 6-3 Boston. Travis Shaw is at first base. And last night we saw this guy, Koji Uehara, and he was tough.
Well, a lot of off-speed stuff. Then once in a while he'll climb the ladder with an upper 80s fastball. 20th save. He became the 6th pitcher in Major League history to post 20 saves after his 40th birthday. One of those other guys we saw earlier tonight, Dennis Eckersley. Of course, Trevor Hoffman, Mariano Rivera, Hoyt Wilhelm, and Doug Jones.
Doug Jones, the great changeup.
Great change. He threw a changeup. Guys knew it was coming, and they still couldn't hit it.
Jordani Valdespin takes a strike. After Valdespin, you got Ichiro, D. Gordon, and Christian Yelich. And so they're going to be all from this side of the plate for the first 4 hitters out of the chute in this inning. Valdespin way out in front. Valdespin being called up by Miami with Marcelo Zuna going down to New Orleans. Pitches out. Valdespin, a guy that in his major league career has shown surprising power as a pinch hitter. He has 7 career pinch hit home runs, and as a guy that used to pinch hit a lot in the big leagues, Tommy Hutton, that's not easy to do.
Not easy to do. They usually come in spurts, as they did with him. I believe 4 or 5 of those were in one season.
As a Met.
So you see the career pinch hitting average below 200, but the power there. He's having a solid year in AAA this year. And the times we saw him last year, he always gave you a little energy when he was in the lineup.
Well, he's battling here with the count 1-2. Uehara, this is a save situation. Valdespin strokes it up the middle. And Holtz gets the out. There's a couple of things about Uehara that are really unconventional about being a closer. He works for the windup. Most closers are stretch guys. He's old, as you pointed out. Pavy, what do you see with this guy?
Yeah, he's got that little funk in his delivery, and his stuff just seems, it's a hard 88. I mean, it just comes out of his hand crisp. He's got good movement, and just that little bit of his delivery, I think, you know, he messes with the tempo of the hitter. I think he hesitates. You know, the Japanese pitchers do that a lot. They're all about tempo and rhythm and messing with the batters, and he does a really good job at it. I mean, that's an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, and to me it looks 95.
Ichiro hits a high pop, shallow center. Mookie Betts is there, and he makes the catch. And Uehara now has 2 outs in the 9th. The Red Sox trying to stay hot. They've won 8 of 11, 7 of 9, a chance to crawl 4 under and possibly get a little closer in the East. They need some help tonight. They need Oakland to come back. The Yankees have a 4-2 lead over the Athletics. That's bottom 8 at Yankee Stadium. Michael Mort's home run made it 6-3. D. Gordon swings and misses, and it's 0-1.
He's a real strike thrower too. He's got 9 pitches, 8 strikes right now, and 2 outs. You know, he's aggressive. He goes right after guys. Guys need to get up there and get ready to swing the bats.
You know, Uehara's been in the major league since 2009. Pitched with Baltimore.
He broke in at the young age of 34.
And he's 0-2 on D. Gordon. 37,000 plus on their feet. And the Red Sox take both games from Miami. Boston stays hot. For Uehara, his 21st save. And the Red Sox are rolling right now. For the Marlins, a 6-3 loss. The Fish, for the third time this year, a season low 15 under the 500 mark. We will wrap it up from Boston after this.